Hello and welcome back to my Let's Challenge of BioShock. In the last episode, we became part. Well, we got 2/3 of the way through making ourselves into a Big Daddy. We collected the pheromone samples from the Little Sisters, sort of from the Little Wonders orphanage area, which the educational system, I should say, where essentially they bred Little Sisters. And the reason we're heading back in here is I think there's a room that we never actually entered right at the end of this, sort of like the opposite end of this area. And there's some interesting things in here that are worth our time spotting, essentially. Just shoot down that camera because it'll just be more trouble than anything. But yeah, no, essentially, we collected the pheromones from this area, and then we have now got the full suit on, as you can tell from our current viewpoint. And so the only thing left for us to do is to get as we are looking at what's going on here. So we get SHAREfactory 2, which hacking safes and combo locks becomes even easier. I'm not entirely sure where this sort of ghost, or maybe it's through here. So you can see sort of a memory of a little sister at some point. It's quite dark actually then. But anyway, yeah, so we have the full suit on, we have the pheromone sample, and now all we need to do is head over and get our voice changed, so that the Little Sisters will follow us. The suit has its own benefits. We take far less damage from everyone, which is obviously great. I think he's probably going to a health station. Okay, take that. Thank you for just standing there. So there is our final little sister, actually, of this area. And at the end of the last episode, I remember making a huge amount of electric gel, so I think it's time we actually utilized it. So we can very easily whittle down this Big Daddy's health with the electric gel, which is such a good, weapon in the game. We can rescue our final little sister, I believe, which should give us 2 trophies. One for dealing with every little sister, and one for rescuing every little sister.
How can I thank you? I send another little one with a token of our appreciation.
So we do get a trophy for dealing with every little sister. Okay, so that was the Little Wonders thing that I wanted to do here, so it's time for us to head back. And then once we've headed back, we can make our way over to the final area. But also, we will have the Little Sisters dropping off a gift for us at the Gatherer's Garden over here. There she is. Another 200 ammo, another 200 Adam, I should say. So, now we get to decide our final thing. So we can buy these last few tonics. We've got Bending Experts, which really, to be honest, are not nearly as useful as they could be. Human Inferno would be cooler if there were more enemies that use fire, much like the electric and the... we've seen quite a few electric enemies at the end here, but certainly nowhere near as much ice ones for that to be at all sort of valuable to us. So Hacking Expert we can get, which is better than anything else that we've got. And then we have 180 Adam to choose between, you know, what we can use left, essentially. I certainly would like Electro Bolt 3, because I feel like it's incredibly useful to us. I think we'll also get Target Dummy, because Target Dummy is very, very useful.
Distract your enemies. Buy yourself time in dangerous situations.
Fortunately, we don't get to see every single one of those. I mean, Insect Swarm 1 is going to be tiny, you know, is going to do very little, whereas Enrage is not also going to be particularly useful either. Well, actually, we can preview this, so we might as well see the previews for it.
Against groups of enemies. Attack lots of enemies at the same time.
So that. And unfortunately, we can't show Cyclone Trap or Sonic Boom because we can't buy them. So apologies for that.
Your enemies. Laugh as your enemies fight each other.
I think Insect Swarm is actually going to be the one that we get because that should be better than Hypnotize Big Daddy, which, to be honest, I've never really liked the idea of, just because I never trust that they're not going to just turn around and start attacking me. So anyway, that is Little Sisters all done for the game, actually, in terms of rescuing and you know, helping them, which is really good. And now all we have to do.
Here is where you'll be finding the voice box.
Yeah, we need to find the voice box.
One of those big daddies.
And you're being mean to me, game. Get destroyed. So we're going to look for a bot shutdown panel. It's located just through there, but we can't get through there, of course. It is literally just through this door, but it looks like we can't get through unless... Yes, okay, cool. You can use that to disarm them, lovely.
I must be hearing
So we need to do that in order to prevent the water there being electrocuted in order for us to actually collect some things there. Poorly done, but eh. That could be a motto for a lot of how I've played some of the, you know, recent episodes. Certainly not been perfect all the time, but I know it's quite a generous game. It becomes quite a generous game by the end. Certainly, you know. I mean, I've got a huge money stash now, and all this sort of stuff. So I think it's certainly not the harshest game that it could have been. Okay, so what do we actually have around here that is of use to us? I think that's the reason, like, the reason we've been actually going quite fast through these last few areas is just because a lot of what enemies are dropping and stuff like that is just like things that we're not using nearly as much, be it certain weapons, certain ammos, stuff like that. Is that what? No, that is not what we're looking for. What we do find is marketing gold.
I'll admit Fontaine showed some foresight when he built up the plasmid business, but the man really never understood sales. Hiding those little girls beneath a bushel. I've just seen the preliminary design work on the new plasmid machines, and they're exactly what I wanted. Mark my words. Presented.
Look around you, kid. You think 2-bit heroics count for a fig in this pit? You're staring down the puke stain of Ryan's busted dream. You think
Fontaine continuing his sort of diatribe against our decision to save the city that he so desperately fought for. We can actually hack these. So we'll do just that. You can see how much the research is incredibly useful and is something that I would always advise that you sort of set up and try and do. You know, get used to it doing it early, because the earlier you do it, the easier it is to do. By far. It becomes an absolute pain towards the end of the game. So this looks good. This looks like exactly where we need to be. So we get Alarm Expert 2.
Now this is a big daddy.
And we get Become a Big Daddy, the trophy.
Now go to the little sister vent by the proving grounds.
I've got Rapture now. I've got the Atom now. You think that pill suit is even half enough to put the fear in me?
Okay, so... essentially anything that we've sort of maxed out, which would be like hoses. I'm gonna like make way too many things, but essentially like, there's going to be a large amount of stuff down the bottom there. That's fine. Again, I mean, just before the final battle, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to end up sort of like making 1,000,001 things. The one thing we don't want to be doing is wasting materials, because I don't like. It's a lot of stuff. You know, 100 items is a lot of things to make. So hopefully we'll be able to nab it at the end here. Hopefully. But we'll have to see how it goes. So, I think that's pretty much nearly everything. Although we do need to head up into the upper two areas there. So, that being optimized eugenics. Just for completionism. An all important buzzword there. Some gamers think it's super important, and some gamers look at it and it's just like, why? Why are you doing this just to complete something? Of course. Why? Because it's incredibly satisfying seeing something nice and completed, as opposed to did a good job of getting that hack in just in time. So this might be, and I say might, but might be our final audio diary. Yes, it is. Beautiful. We get the trophy for historian.
He must have suspected trouble. I will lock them up near the protector labs and set the code to 1921. I don't expect we'll ever be needing them, though. Once Big Daddy is ready, nobody cross the Big Daddy.
So there you see how you get the code to the munitions that we previously just hacked to get through. And again, it follows this consistent pattern of they always give you the code somewhere in the map. You just need to find it, essentially. So I think the only other thing for us to do is to head up this way and zap that. That'll be a problem otherwise. Some steel to bolt, proximity mine. That. And there you see our final power to the people machine, which will allow us to max out all of our weapons. So, very, very good. Really, really good. We can buy this out because, I mean, we've been earning way too much money anyway. Napalm and armor-piercing rounds aren't the most valuable of rewards we can get there, but there we go. We can get the pistol damage increase. That should give us a trophy. It does. Weapon Specialist, which is having every single weapon max upgraded. And so, as you can see, we have a huge number of tonics. That is actually a very large number of tonics. We have a huge number of engineering tonics as well. And we also have a huge number of... I think that's them all. I think... I don't... If I've missed one, I do not know where it is. Because we've got all the audio diaries, which usually means that you've explored pretty much everywhere. There are very few places where you only get... where you only get... oh, there's a camera up there. You don't need to do this, but I will just for, again, just to sort of say that we've done it. So, we get through here, we hit the switch, which should turn off the generator, which should then mean that we can actually enter this large area, enter the water. We'll just buy this out, see what's inside it. Just some money and some incendiary bulk, some electric buck, and a lot of things like that. Some napalm that we do not need. Telly. Okay, so I think that is everything done, which means now what we have to do is head back to the Proving Grounds entrance, ask a little sister to come and follow us, and then we can continue onwards. And if we miss one or two of the trophies, then that's fine, because we already have the vast majority of them. With how the game's trophies are set up, we could never get every single trophy in the game in one run through, unless they changed it in which the difficulty trophies actually do stack, in which case if I played on Insane and been just as successful, which is a question, you know, which is questionable to say that I would have been just equally as successful. So out comes the little sister. That's actually a...
It would mean very much to me if you will be gentle with the girl. Mein kleines Mädchen.
So we can now head through, and that means that we finish Point Prometheus, as it were, and we can actually load the bulkhead to the Proving Grounds. I think we should be able to get through the whole of the Proving Grounds to finish off this episode, and then we can decide. I can decide whether sort of we stop or not. I can check to make sure we've got everything, but I'm pretty damn sure that we have. And in that case, then there would be no reason to sort of not.
But you must protect them.
So, this is the section that inspired pretty much the whole of BioShock 2.
You don't even remember most of it. Put you on a sub when you were just a sprout.
So we've got you invent over there. We've essentially got to protect the little sister as she goes through the what they call the proving trial. So essentially checking that you as a Big Daddy work as a Big Daddy. So essentially there are some corpses that so that Big Daddy looks like it just got killed by the huge exhibit falling on top of it.
I really wound you up with that wife and child bit. Oh, me poor Moira. I me wee baby Patrick.
what this section will teach you is that essentially protecting the little sisters in this game, where it's not sort of like, the game isn't perfectly sort of set up for you being a protector. It eventually, in BioShock 2, it's far, I would say, it is done in a much better way. In a way that is actually really, really well done, and that's why I really enjoy BioShock 2. But in this game, less so. You just don't have nearly the same amount of sort of ways of dealing with what they're going to throw at you. So this is the first section.
Though they are physically free as they move together, Tuchon's mental condition is terrible thanks to their terrible past. For sins such as this, they can never atone.
So we can only essentially set up some proximity mines, set up some trap bolts, and that's it pretty much for the options that we have, along with just pretty much, you know, smacking anyone who comes close with a big wrench. Don't attack me.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
But I do believe that the enemies throughout this section are sort of behave slightly differently. So there we go, first area done, lovely. I think there are 3 of these that we have to get through. And sort of like the wave of splices that comes after you is slightly more difficult each time. Ugh. Come join me.
Pathetic tactics to draw the attention of this flight.
So as you can see, we essentially get lots of proximity mines from the various I'm pretty sure if the little sister dies, you fail this area and you have to do it all over again.
Adam, Mr. B.
Hurry, Mr. B. Mr. Bubbles. Okay, so another spider splicer. And she's moving on, lovely. Cool. So that is one that's tuned against me.
Hurry, Mr. B.
Unzip him. Okay, so we make our way through those 2 sections. It might be 3, might be 4. Thinking about it. Oh no, we have another battle with a Big Daddy. I'm pretty sure this Big Daddy doesn't like us.
Hurry, Mr. B. I can see Angel.
I'm sure we have to battle with like an enraged Big Daddy at some point. Oh geez, she is so low on health. I apologize.
Don't be a slowpoke. Mr. B. Angels don't wait for slowpokes.
It might not be that you fail. I think it's just that Tenenbaum gets really upset with you if you don't go through.
Mr. B.
If you don't protect the girls well. Yeah, so as you see, there we
But to lose even one is a sin.
Don't know what I was thinking. Never spliced up once the whole time I was down here in this aquarium. Figured it was bad to mix business with pleasure, but ew! To get all the nose candy and floor polish I've been wasting time with, this stuff is the mother's milk!
Diamond will fix me. Everything will work out. Just you wait.
Time to go.
Come on. Okay, lovely. I am annoyed that I lost the little sister that time. I think that's is just me not being particularly clever. Come on. I think it may well have been like there was that big explosion with the whatchamacallit, the rocket, the RPG turret, and I think that might have been the one that actually screwed me over. I don't know how much health she lost from that, but I reckon it was probably quite a lot.
Hurry, Mr. B.
As long as we don't die, then we don't fail, and that's what's important. Yes, I know. Oh, it's actually glitched out. She's actually obviously harvesting somewhere where there are splicers. Sorry, where that splicer is not.
Mr. B. No time to wait.
Okay, so yeah, she just takes a lot of damage from like every enemy, so it's really very clever. I want to stop it.
Hurry, Mr. B.
Again, I am almost certain that there is a Big Daddy fight at the end of this.
Hurry, Mr. B. I can see the angels dancing in the sky.
Hello. Are you the Big Daddy that I have to fight? Yes, you are. I think it's like he goes mad because he loses his little sister or something like that, and sort of gets... You have to... He's just rogue, going rogue.
Don't be a slowpoke, Mr. B. Angels
Better for the
don't
girls
make
to
us
be
so
with you.
bad.
Better with you than alone. Alone in the crawling darkness.
Hop, hop, Mr. B. No time to
Okay, so there we go. we've made our way through. I'm pretty sure that should be it for the Protector trial. It makes sense that, like, you know, a big daddy would be the finale, as it were.
Mr. B, I can see the angels dancing in the sky.
Only the little ones can open these doors. You must protect them.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
Okay.
That might be plenty for the wicked scrubs and the pencil pushers, but I need more. More! I want a slice, and I have to splice with!
So there we go. We're now here, I think, and this is pretty much...
Fontaine is nearby. You are reaching close now.
Yeah. So, I think it only makes sense for us to try and take on Frank Fontaine in this episode. Might make this last episode particularly short, but that is okay. We brought the little sister all the way here. We
You
have...
must use the needle of the little sister to drain Fontaine of his Adam. It is the only way to defeat him.
So, we hear of the way that we need to... of how we can hurt Frank Fontaine. Ah, that's why. Oh, I forgot there's always a last health and Eve upgrade. Ah. That's my mistake.
What are you waiting for? Pick up the needle.
So, we do need the needle. The needle is... where?
Here, take this. Stick it in the bad man.
Hey, don't see you, little sister.
What are you waiting for?
Am I being blind, or is there not a little sister waiting for us? I always feel like that. I'm pretty sure she should be around here.
Here, take this. Stick it in the bad man.
Yeah, I think this is a glitch. Oh no, there. Oh, there you are. I apologize. That was me being an idiot.
There will be no going back from here. Make sure you are ready to face him before moving on.
So, as we say, we need to be ready. So we will just auto hack here, find out if there's anything that we don't have max ammo in. Pretty sure it won't affect anything. And now we'll also try and see, do we have, you know, what can we make essentially? So anything that's particularly cheap on, anything that's particularly cheap on materials is excellent. So these guys, these trap bolts would be... There we go, we do get a trophy. We get a trophy for called Avid Inventor. Which is, as I'm sure you can work out, essentially for being an avid inventor. As we can see, a very avid inventor. I love all that ammo. Look at all the ammo just piled on the floor. Okay, so, what do we want? We want anti-personnel rounds. We want heat-seeking RPGs. Because why the hell not? We want incendiary bolts. We want napalm. No, we want electric javelins, something like that. Always good to set out your ammos. We want exploding buck. No, nowhere near enough exploding buck, so electric buck it is. We aren't going to use the pistol, but if we were anti-personnel rounds, it would be... I think it's time for us to head up. I think it is time for us to take on Frank Fontaine in the final battle here of BioShock. Let's see how we go. Target dummy is going to be very useful throughout this battle. Use target dummy to obviously distract take the focus away from you, and yeah, it's very, very helpful. So target dummy is excellent. And then what else could we use? Well, aside from target dummy, Electrobolt's going to be very helpful. So yeah, a lot of useful things, I'm sure.
I remember when me and the crowd put you in that sub. You were no more than 2. You were my ace in the hole. But you were also the closest thing I ever had to a son. And that's why this hurts. Betrayal, kid. Life ain't strictly business.
So, Fontaine, here we go. So essentially, he's obviously been splicing himself up to Kingdom Come. And for that very reason, so we can drain him here. So essentially you need to do enough damage to allow yourself to be able to drain him. And it looks like Electric Gel, much like the Big Daddies, is a big weakness of the final boss. So he should now Houdini back up to here, which means that we can now drain him once more. So now we need to get security bullseye on this guy.
You think I'm alone in this world? I got more than enough times to watch my back while I'm in charge.
So just destroy his health here with Electric Gel. Just stepping out. Yeah, perfect.
You think you got a shot at this?
Bot's helping us out as always. We still have loads and loads of health. We're getting loads and loads of Adam, all Adam that we will never be able to actually use, unfortunately. Once more, we can just pile Electric Gel into this guy. We've now got a whole host of splices, I think, also helping him out. That's why we were taking damage there. But here we go. We can drain Adam from him. That is it.
I had you built. I sent you topside. I called you back, showed you what you was capable of. Even that life you thought you had, that was something I dreamed up and had tattooed inside your head. Now, if you don't call that family, I don't know what is. And now,
They offered you this city. And you refused it. And what did you do instead? What I've come to expect of you. You saved them. You gave them the one thing that was stolen from them. A chance. A chance to learn. To find love. To live. And in the end, what was your reward? You never said. But I think I know. A family.
So there we have it, the end of the game. It's a rather anticlimactic boss battle in many ways because it is quite, as you can see, it's relatively easy. You can pretty much spat, like, certain weapons are incredibly powerful against him, and so if you know what you're doing, it's not a difficult battle at all. And I think a lot of people weren't, like, it's very difficult in this sort of game when you have such a big story-focused element appear so blatantly in the middle of the game, and then sort of, you know, have this massive reveal and all of this sort of hype, and then try and sort of bring everything down and then try and build it back up for a final boss battle. I think it was always going to be incredibly difficult for them to actually be able to have a incredibly satisfying final boss battle in this sort of game. I think it would be very difficult, and I think they did a pretty good job. Like, I certainly wasn't disappointed the first time I played through, but I can appreciate the view of people who were. As for the endings, obviously that is the good ending. We got multiple trophies there. We got a trophy for saving every single little sister, for only saving little sisters as opposed to without harvesting one. We got a trophy for completing the game on hard. We got the trophy for defeating Atlas, and we got the trophy for playing the game on hard and not using Vita Chambers because we didn't die at all in this playthrough, which I'm very, very pleased about. And yeah, really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed playing through this game again. I hope you have enjoyed watching me play through it. But yeah, no, the endings, what was I saying? Yeah, so that was obviously the good ending. There is obviously a bad ending, and the dichotomy between them is pretty severe, to be said. One of them, you know, you're obviously this wondrous person who's rescued these young girls, and the other one, you're a monster who takes splices up to the surface and invades. And it's crazy, and I can definitely appreciate sort of taking something that they wanted to be such a big sort of moral choice system, and actually it's not particularly well implemented in the game. The harvesting and rescuing scenario isn't nearly, there's nowhere near enough sort of debate with that, because ultimately rescue is almost like the amount of Adam you miss out without rescuing is so small that there's very little point in not. And there's only a trophy for rescuing and not for harvesting and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, the moral choice, it's one of the weaker sides of the game, but you can't deny, I don't think, like if the first time I played this game, my mouth just dropped at that reveal, and it's been imprinted, and every time I play through the game, it means that every single time you play through it afterwards, you're constantly looking out for these little things that you didn't see before, and it's brilliant, and I love it so much. And I think it's something that, you know, very few games have been able to sort of capture the same sort of discussion and the ability to actually get people talking about it. Like, I want to go back to school and tell literally everyone about this game because it was so damn good. And not a huge amount of games will do that. And this is a very special game, and I'm very glad to have played it. I hope you have enjoyed watching me play through it. We've been successful with our Let's Challenge. In the end, it was not much of a challenge, it must be said. We got through the early sections without dying, and that pretty much meant the end of it. I also forgot how many lives you get through this game. I think the life counter that's currently there is now going to turn over once more, because there's one extra life I forgot, which was when we got our first invention. You also get a trophy there, and I don't think I might have mentioned it. If I did mention it, it won't turn over, but I don't think I mentioned it, and that's because we got that trophy. I got that trophy in the Protector Trials because I was messing around with the DLC stuff, the Protector Trials, before starting this, and got that trophy accidentally without actually, you know, necessarily, you know, without it obviously being able to then be incorporated into this Let's Challenge setup. But yeah, no, that is BioShock. We will certainly be coming back for BioShock 2 and BioShock Infinite. This is a great series of games. It is a superb series of games, and I love all three of them, and I very much look forward to the next time. But in the meantime, there'll be other things going on the channel. Keep an eye out for it. And yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this series as a whole, and I hope you will join me on the next. I will see you on the next series on my channel.